But then, when I signed the bipartisan infrastructure again, which people like Ron believe that is a good thing, the corporate American bottom line is if that's all you need to look at, it's good for America. Well, that's not my bottom line. You can see how Ron Johnson's rationale and mega rationale have worked out.
I'm still not even sure what to ask the senator, because I'm still not sure that that was an insult, because none of the words came out right. But joining me now, maybe he can decipher it. He's the senator from Wisconsin, Senator Ron Johnson. Senator, I'm about 50% sure that you were insulted there by the president, but I don't know. You tell me.
Well, again, I couldn't quite understand him either, but I'm 100% sure he was insulting me. It was interesting. I got a text from a report of the New York Times saying that he was accusing me of outsourcing jobs to China. I actually exported plastics to China when I was in business. And my response was, he is senile and he's lying. And it's interesting, the only part that the New York Times published was he's lying.
Yeah, it is interesting how much everyone has avoided that. And obviously, we're going to get to all the Hunter stuff and the special counsel stuff in a minute. But look, I'm not a doctor. I don't claim to be. I'm sure you don't claim to be. But I don't know what Joe Biden has. Senile, dementia, Alzheimer's. I don't know. And I don't wish that on him or anybody, even though I hate the freaking guy. But he clearly is not a functional adult, and he's the commander-in-chief, and it's wild how that's always story number 50 in the paper instead of story number 1. We need this guy to make important decisions, and he can't use his mind or his mouth.
No, his mental capacity is clearly diminished. I met Joe Biden as vice president to spend some time with him. He was a very nice guy. I have no personal animus toward him whatsoever. Quite honestly, as a father, I feel nothing but empathy for him with just such a low life as a son as Hunter. But at the same time, he's been in business with Hunter. He is probably as corrupt as Hunter. He's the Don. He's the main guy. He's the big guy. Apparently taking 50% of whatever income Hunter procured for the family, as well as 10% for the big guy. So, I mean, listen, he's corrupt. He's compromised. Senator Grassley and I showed that pretty conclusively in our September 2020 report, which was widely ignored by the media when they weren't calling it Russian disinformation.
Yeah, no, you've been great at exposing this Joe Biden family business. People call it Hunter's business. Hunter has no leverage. It's Joe Biden's business that Hunter Biden happens to work for. The question is anything going to be actually done about it? And I ask that because this special counsel already tried to get Hunter Biden some absurd blanket pardon deal that was so ridiculous. Even the judge laughed about the whole thing. I just don't have a lot of confidence that the special counsel's there to do anything except for cover for the Biden family, like the rest of the government.
No, listen, appointing David Weiss as special counsel was the latest corrupt act by Merrick Garland and the Department of Justice. There are two primary requirements for a special counsel. Outside of government, he's obviously in government, but most importantly, somebody who's independent. And if you looked at 8 billion people on planet Earth here and figured out who would be the least independent person to serve as special counsel, special counsel, it'd be David Weiss. I mean, he's the guy who engineered this sleazy sweetheart deal that you tried to pull the wool out over the judge's eyes. I mean, he's the guy that the 5 years of investigation did squat, allowed the statute of limitations to run on the more serious tax charges. Again, you can't trust this guy to investigate this. We had whistleblowers saying that he did not have the proper resources to do a proper investigation. So this is a sick joke on the part of Merrick Garland. Also, either David Weiss or Merrick Garland lied to Congress. This might frustrate the House's attempt to determine which one is culpable for lying to Congress.
Okay, explain, because that's not a small deal. Lying to Congress, especially if the Attorney General or David Weiss did it, is a big deal. What happened? Who lied?
Well, there were a number of letters going back and forth in terms of whether David Weiss asked for special counsel status, whether he had the ability to charge in these different jurisdictions. Ended up he didn't. The political appointees by Biden couldn't do it. Again, it's a very confused tale. They've purposely tried to confuse it. So I can't really lay it out in detail because I don't know the real truth here. But all I know is that the stories between Merrick Garland in terms of how David Weiss is operating as the investigator here, as the U.S. attorney, is very confused and contradictory.
I have great news. If you enjoyed that, I have a YouTube channel you can subscribe to. Whatever I do, it'll be right there on YouTube. So go subscribe today.